And hi again, everyone. I am KFES 12 Sports Director Todd Richards, and this is the Toddcast. We've got a lot of football. It's all things football tonight, and a lot to do. A little later time, but hey, that's okay. We got a lot to talk about and to get to, and we're going to talk about a lot of college football, if you can believe it, right? Just a couple of more days before teams start kicking off the season, which is unbelievable. The NFL coming up just around the corner. Hey, Heartland Football Friday is already off the ground for high school teams. And guess what? The regular season for Missouri squads coming up on Friday. We're going to kind of break down some of the matchups, look at them a little bit, and talk a little bit of Illinois football as well. And that's just kind of a start of things going on right there. We'll also talk a little bit of NFL football. So as you can tell, there's a lot to talk about tonight on the Toddcast, so let's get right to it. This morning, my photographer Josh Whitehead was out. Was out at the SEMO football practice. I met him over there. We were together, kind of watching the Red Hawks getting ready for the season opener against Indiana State coming up on Saturday. That's a 5 o'clock Central kickoff, 6 o'clock Eastern, just so you don't get confused by that one. But that is the season opener for the Red Hawks in Terre Haute, Indiana. And we had a chance to get a pretty good idea of the Red Hawks, the way things are going. And I got to tell you, there's been a lot of good things going on. Braylon Ragland named the starting quarterback. Him and Johnny Weber go all the way back to spring ball. Braylon Ragland, a transfer from Alabama State. He's a Memphis native. Johnny Weber, you might remember, he was throwing some touchdown passes for the Red Hawks last season. So that quarterback competition kind of right down to the wire, and that's how it ended in the favor of Braylon Ragland. And so I had a chance to talk to Coach Took. I had a chance to talk to Braylon Ragland tonight out at the practice, or this morning out at the practice, I should say, and also talk about it on Heartland Sports later on. But meanwhile, what I gathered from this, from talking to Coach Took, he said, hey, Braylon Ragland was the leader. That's kind of what pushed him over the edge. He was named to the leadership council out there for the SEMO football team. Just a kind of guy that's really steady. A lot of those characteristics over the years. Coach Took loves those transfer quarterbacks. He's had a lot of success with them as well over the years. And hey, he was his guy, Braylon Ragland. When it was all said and done, went right down to the wire. But the decision is that he will start against Indiana State. So now that you know who the Red Hawks starting quarterback is, how about a little bit more about this guy, his personality, and you talk to him, he's all business, and you could tell he's got this chance to really be the guy, and you just got a feeling that's what he's been looking for. Seems to have just a knack of a nice throwing motion, looks to be an all-around quarterback type guy, does a lot of things well. I think that you'll like and excited to see him play, and it's not like they're in a bad spot with Johnny Weber as the backup either. So, they've got a couple of guys, and, it goes even deeper than that as far as the quarterback room. But those guys are certainly some that we'll look forward to. Now, the good thing, certainly, if you're Braylon Ragland heading into the season, is they like the offensive line, and it all starts there. If you don't have that kind of offensive line to get the job done in front of you, I don't care who you are, the opportunities are limited. You can't run the football, and he'll be the first to tell you, and he's talked about it. We got to run that football first. That sets up everything else, and I think the Red Hawks will be looking to really do that. I would be very surprised if they don't really emphasize the run game, not only against a pretty good Missouri Valley Conference opponent, Indiana State, not one of the upper echelon teams in that conference by any stretch, but still a team that's won some pretty big games. And the Red Hawks are going to go out there and try to be physical, I would think, in Terre Haute. They always work on conditioning. That seems to be a big aspect of this team, how you can work it in this heat, get ready, and that's kind of a Coach Took trademark. We're not going to get outworked, and we're not going to get beat physically. And that's what they'll be looking to do, a lot of that against the Sycamores come Saturday. So that kind of sets the table for you a little bit for the Red Hawks start of the season. One of the areas, if you're looking for something a little bit, also something to keep an eye on, is the depth. And Coach Took talked about how they go too deep at a lot of positions. He's very comfortable with it. He's not used necessarily to having that much depth, but they really like it. A lot of guys that can play, do a lot of good things, and that's something to certainly they keep an eye out for as well, especially early in the season in the heat. And then as injuries occur later in the season, you've got to go 2, sometimes 3 deep at a lot of positions. And that seems to be an area that Coach Tuch likes. Now, let's go ahead and talk about a few things for a moment before we move on. And one of them, of course, is the NIL. A lot of players are coming in for various circumstances. Everything seems, has changed in the way that you recruit players, the way you get players, at least a lot has. And, it seems like the comfort level was pretty good with Coach Tuch and at the SEMO practice today. The guys seem to be feeling pretty good, pretty confident. He seems to have a real stamp on this team and a lot of guys that he's looking forward to seeing. Now, having said that, a ton of new faces anymore. You have a lot of new guys that you're looking to see who can step up, who can get the job done. And that's why what makes the beginning of the season not only fun to watch, but also very important for the teams because they can make adjustments if necessary before you get into the Ohio Valley Conference season. And certainly that's something that we'll be looking forward to out of the Red Hawks as well as they move forward. But, that's certainly a lot to look forward to. Now, let's talk about some of their games. In addition to Indiana State, again, that's a 5 o'clock start in Terre Haute, Indiana. They're on an Eastern time zone time, 6 o'clock their time. And then it really gets tough, right? Then one of those money games, you would say. You go on the road, you get to play in a gigantic Division I FBS atmosphere at Iowa State, and that'll be September 5th at noon. And you know what? Nothing to lose. Just go out there and battle, play your hearts out, go against some of the top recruits in the entire country at any level, and certainly deep pockets with the program like that, and see how you can do. So that'll be the second game of the season. We'll just look at the first 4. And then it's the War for the Wheel game in Carbondale. And I think that this is one of the truly great things of college football. When you get a team across the river like Southern Illinois, and we're going to get ready to talk about the Salukis in a minute or two, maybe longer. You never know as much as I talk. But a team like SIU, and then you get a team like SEMO, and of course Coach Tuch, a former member of that SIU staff, knows Nick Hill very well, the head coach. They're friends, certainly not during the game, they're not, but a couple of class acts. And you get those guys playing each other. And I'm telling you, that is great stuff. Those games you can take with you for a long, long time. Now, I can tell you, Bruce Pearl was the coach on the basketball team when I lived in Evansville, Indiana, for a team of the USI, Southern Indiana basketball team, before he moved on to greatness, both on the court and then in the broadcast booth. And Ray Harper, who's also moved on, had a successful career at Jacksonville State, etc. He was at Western Kentucky, but he was the coach at Kentucky Wesleyan. And those were 2 of the top Division II programs in the nation in college basketball. And those rivalries, they were second to none. It was just unbelievable games. And so far, the War for the Wheel games have been pretty outstanding as well. Occasionally, you get a little bit of domination on one side or the other, but they're so much fun to watch. And I think it's going to be a great one this year. It'll be in Carbondale, and it'll be a lot of fun to watch. The Salukis about 16th in the nation. SEMO had votes in the top 25 in the poll preseason. So really looking forward to seeing how that one turns out as well. And then the Red Hawks get their home opener against Central Arkansas, September 19th, 6 o'clock at Houck Stadium. Central Arkansas, a ranked team year in and year out. It seems like, in a very good football team. So you look at those 4, and, Indiana State, Iowa State, SIU, and Central Arkansas, they all have a little bit of a different value, if you will, not only for how, what it means to your team and how you can compete against those teams, but also the complexion of those games are also really interesting, and how you'll match up against all those opponents. So I'm telling you, there's a lot of stuff to look forward to. I better keep my drinking water here. I got to keep rolling. But I'm really looking forward to those matchups, really all of them. And now I want to kind of segue into a former SEMO quarterback before we move on to the Salukis for just a minute. And this is a great story. You might remember Paxton DeLaurent when he played for the Red Hawks a few years back. And the guy was outstanding. He always seemed to make those pass plays when he needed to. It was like, wait a minute, he just got rid of that football just in the nick of time. And when somebody was open, as long as he had time, he seemed like he would always hit the wide receiver. Now, he ran into injury issues and kind of set him back. Had an opportunity at a couple of the pro camps. He was with the Chiefs, was one of his camps. The Bills was another camp in the NFL. Had an opportunity to do a little bit there, but never really could fully show his skill set, if you will. And then he didn't give up on it. Instead, what happened is Paxton DeLorean said, you know what, I'm going to go to the Indoor Football League, play for a team by the name of the Orlando Pirates. And you think, well, man, where is that going to take him? Well, let's go down that road for a minute. With the Orlando Pirates, he was named the Offensive Rookie of the Year in that league. Now, there's some pretty darn good young players in that football league that want to move on to the next level. They have aspirations, like Paxton does, to the next level, whatever that may be. And the NFL is certainly the pot of gold at the end for all of them. And he finished as the Rookie of the Year. So on the offensive side, that's really impressive. Threw for 3,142 yards, 64 touchdowns. They played the whole type of game is obviously considerably different, the way it is, the field, the way things are done. But those numbers and what he did and how he took over as a leader, that's pretty amazing. But I want to mention one other thing too. What it shows is that desire to go out there and play the game when you could easily quit or say it's been a great career, I'm going into business. Nothing wrong with that. But you know what he wanted to do? He wanted to keep playing football. Now he gets that opportunity, becomes the Offensive Rookie of the Year, and then he moves on now. He just signed with the Toronto Argonauts. So he gets to play with the Argonauts in the Canadian Football League. I believe Saturday, Coach Tuch was talking about it as well, his first opportunity with that ball club. And, you get to the Canadian League, and it's not that completely unusual, is it, for some of those players to make the jump? I used to watch a lot more of it. Haven't watched a ton of Canadian Football League, still watch some. But, the Toronto Argonauts, one of the signature teams. I remember the Edmonton Eskimos, and I could go on with some of the others but over the years. But, that's a pretty good opportunity, to say the very least. And Paxton DeLorean was always a class act, always nice, friendly, just a leader in every sense of the word. And he deserves this opportunity, and now he's getting it. And you never know where it can go, because really it just takes one coach to believe in you at that next level. Maybe it's maybe one of the Canadian football leagues or indoor football leagues. Say, you might want to look at this Paxton DeLorean guy. Maybe he moves on to the NFL, one of these coaches, and they get as an assistant. And they said, okay, we'll give this guy a look. And hey, we like the way he plays. He fits into our style. I'm a Detroit Lions fan, and Jared Goff, I don't, I'm not going to sit there and compare all the arm strength and everything, but they have similarities. Both make the game look easy. Both have that good size. Both are very likable. They're very talented, and they can throw the football on target. And that's what I think DeLorean's biggest benefit is how he puts that ball right on the money, and he's not afraid of pressure. So you never know. You get a chance to one of these teams at backup, and you never know where that could take you in camp. And he's got a chance right now as a launching pad with the CFL, the Canadian Football League, and we'll see where that one goes. Talking some more college football. How about SIU? I wanted to get to that. I've kind of held off a bit, but Nick Hill has done a marvelous job, a really good job over there in a very tough conference, that Missouri Valley Football Conference. They've had some ups and downs. I think he'd be the first to admit they want to take it to the top level. And it seems like they'll get to the playoffs, maybe make a little bit of noise, but trying to get over the hump. And that's what they're looking to do. Again, I mentioned they're 16th ranked in the preseason, but there's one player. If you haven't had a chance, and you hopefully you'll get a chance, whether it's a War for the Wheel game for the SEMO fans or just a college football fan, or somebody says, I want to hear what he's going to tell me. Well, DJ Williams is worth the price of admission. Used to play for Murray State, transferred to SIU, their quarterback, one of the top-ranked quarterbacks and offensive players in the entire nation in the FCS, and this guy is fun to watch. Just a couple of games that I could draw off of that he really made the difference and one of them was the matchup at SEMO again in Houck Stadium early on. Took it about 80-plus yards, one of the first carries of the game, and took it the distance. How many quarterbacks can do that? And he's one of them. And he also has the ability to throw the football, but he is a difference maker. And very few times do you look on the field and you say, this person, this player out there, we've got to watch this guy. He's the guy that if we don't defend him, we're probably going to lose the game. And even if we try to defend this guy, he's going to make plays. And that's what this guy is. And he's so much fun to watch. I had a chance to visit with him. I talked to DJ Williams over at the Saluki Fan Fest, which was, by the way, was a lot of fun in the past week. And I said, man, is there anybody you compare your game to, maybe the NFL, or at least model, or somebody that you really look up to? And he said, hey, I model my game after myself. I'm DJ Williams. I play my brand of football, and I was really impressed with that and how mature he is with the fans over there in Carbondale and just the kind of guy he is, and Nick Hill. And I said to Coach Hill, how nice is it having a quarterback like this going into the season? And he said, without a doubt, I'm glad he's on my team. So if you get a chance to watch him, 2,846 yards a year ago, 22 touchdowns. And this is what I'm talking about when I say that the kind of weapon he is. He also ran for over 840 yards, 847. I'm not going to get too caught up in every bit of yardage, but he also scored 18 touchdowns on the ground. That is impressive. That guy can do everything, and he's so much fun to watch, and the Salukis will obviously be looking for a lot out of him and to put those weapons around him and make it enough big plays. The question is, can you make enough big plays on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball against those monster teams that they've been in that conference? Your South Dakota State, of course, North Dakota State years ago with how they've been over the years and everything else. Just all the teams that they've had to deal with in that conference. Northern Iowa over their heyday when they had those powerhouse teams. Illinois State certainly risen to the top of the, just about won a national championship a year ago. Your North Dakotas, you got a lot of talented football teams in that conference, and there's really nothing easy. Youngstown State, you go there, and it's a tough game. That's a tough place to win, but this is going to be a really good year, and this is when you got DJ Williams, a final year. You've got to see how many wins you can get with that guy. You got to take advantage of that situation, and that's what the situation that the Salukis are in right now. Let's go. Let's make things happen with DJ Williams. So it's going to be an interesting year. They'll open up against a West Florida team, by the way, and that is a 6 o'clock start on Thursday. Mentioned the Redhawks play on Saturday when they open up the season at Indiana State. The Salukis open up at West Florida, and that's a 6 o'clock kickoff. Now, the interesting thing about West Florida, it's their first year as a Division I program, so you don't really know what to expect, right? You can't go into it and say, hey, these guys, they haven't played Division I. You don't know how many transfers they could get. It's Pensacola, Florida, probably a good recruiting ground over there. You don't know. You might not think this team may not be as tough as we think, and they may turn out to be just unbelievables. But, either way, it's going to be an interesting game, to say the very least. Another interesting game on Thursday at 6 o'clock is Eastern Illinois at Murray State. Sounds like a really interesting game. Of course, the Racers trying to make some hay, make a name for themselves in that tough Missouri Valley. They've had a long road, but seem to be making strides. And we'll find out just how many strides, beginning with that opener against an Eastern Illinois team that's just been kind of average. They had some more powerful teams years ago, real physical. They just seem to be kind of an up and down team now. So I don't know. We'll find out. But either way, that's still a good-looking matchup right there. And then this one, perennial powers, Central Arkansas at UT Martin. Now, that's a good one. You've got Central Arkansas, a team that's been in the top 25, just a really good football program. They've really jumped up there. And UT Martin, Jason Simpson, every single year, year in and year out, it seems like it's UT Martin. And then SEMO battles with them, and that team they're both really good teams. And Martin, he's done an outstanding job over there. His son, of course, Ty Simpson, with the Rams, got drafted in the first round. A lot of people are wondering, hey, they picked him awfully high, but right now he looks like he's in a great situation under Matthew Stafford, talking about Jason Simpson's son with the Rams in the NFL, and they played at Alabama, then went there. And now he looks like he could have a great pro career ahead with all the training that he's getting before you have to step into the limelight. So really good things happening for that family by all accounts. Everything the times I've spent around them, they've been fantastic, and just a lot of great folks out there that, the Simpson, that whole UT Martin program, if you've been out to that field, they love their football there as well. Meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit the break. When we come back, we're going to talk some Heartland Football Friday. We'll talk some high school football, ready for week 2. We had the Jamborees this past week, and we talked some Illinois football regular season, but now we're regular season for teams in Southeast Missouri, and we'll sneak a little NFL stuff, what's going on with the Chiefs, and some other NFL talk, and it's coming up in about 2 minutes. We'll see you then. All right, and welcome back to the Toddcast. Not 100% sure if I ever left you for sure. Getting used to a few of the buttons over here, but that's okay. My voice got a little bit of a break, and now we're going to talk some high school as well as some NFL football. And as we look at our matchups, and this is one of the great parts about Heartland Football Friday, of course, 10:15 every Friday night. We get a chance to bust it out. I've been doing it now. This is my 23rd year, and there are a lot of impressive teams to keep an eye on and a lot of moving parts for us every Friday. It's a labor of love with our staff. A lot of times people will ask me, what's your favorite thing? Well, I've been in the clubhouse with the Cardinals. That's been amazing for World Series. I've been to all kinds of professional events that you can name, meeting some of the big names, guys like Deion Sanders, Larry Bird over the years, and all kinds of coaches and legends. But Friday nights, I don't know if there's anything better to me than Heartland Football Friday, because that is when everybody works together at the end of the night. It's a feeling like none other. I mean, you just feel like the teamwork and where everybody comes together, and the games, and to be able to show these high school players off and the appreciation that they show, there's nothing really quite like it. So let's go ahead and dig in to what we're looking at and what we're in for coming up this Friday. And beginning with, how about Liberty, a team that was 7-3 last year. They play at Cape Central. And I love the job that's going on with Kent Gibbs and that Cape Central football team over there. They really look good in the Jamboree. Had a chance to get up close and personal with that one. That's the one I was at last week. And, they they really look like that offensive line triggers everything. They have a really good offensive line in Cape, really good coaching. They're big, they're strong, and that's really been a big foundation piece of that team. So they certainly have some good skill players. We'll see how the defense goes, but really looking forward to seeing Cape Central in that opener. One of the things that's pretty cool about Cape Central is the way they seem to score a lot of points early. Go to games, I'm like, man, you better get there early. Better get some of their scoring and how they put the points up on the board. They just have that knack of getting up on teams, which is, certainly, you could say a hats off situation to Kent Gibbs for how they do that, how they get a good start, how they really move on, and they're good at that. So we'll see how it goes against a Liberty team, Wentzville Liberty, that's 7-3. So we'll see how that one turns out. Then we're also keeping a pretty close eye on the Charleston at Kelly game, and this is a good one too. Both teams around the 500 mark last year. Trent Adams at Charleston has really worked hard with that program. He had some camps this summer. Really enthusiastic about that at Charleston. That's so important for a high school coach to be invested to what they're doing. You look at the success of programs, it starts with that coach. How much the players love them, how invested is that coach, and I think they have a good things out of what I've seen with the Blue Jays in that situation. And then Kelly comes in, Lance Powers, a veteran coach, does an excellent job over there, and he's talked about this season how much he really likes the team that they have going in. So, I'm getting ready to run a preview in the next night or so about Kelly. I'll learn a little bit more about them and what they have, but I think it's going to be a really good game. I mean, you got a couple of even-looking teams out there. Kelly, the fans, they'll be pumped up and ready to go. Love the student section. Their cheerleaders get excited out there. It's just a great place for a Friday night in a ball game. Then you got East Prairie. Ian Penrod's done some great coaching jobs. Who's over there looking to build that team going against at Portageville, and also Aaron Bidewell, the coach over there. And that's going to be another good game to watch. Over at the home of the Bulldogs, Portageville has put together some top-notch players that have moved on to the college ranks from around here. Some at SEMO you're familiar with, and that should be a good one as well. Looking forward to that. Now, this next one is really interesting, and it took on a different meaning. The reason is it's New Madrid County Central at Saxony Lutheran. It was supposed to be Veritas Catholic that was supposed to play them. I say Veritas Catholic or Veritas Christian, but either way, my apologies if I'm off on that, but Veritas was supposed to go to Saxony Lutheran, but for one reason or another, they have not. So they've been replaced. It's now New Madrid County Central playing at Saxony Lutheran. And that is a very interesting matchup. You look at Tyler Fullart, a former Jackson assistant who has done a really nice job at New Madrid. They're tough year in and year out. And Saxony Lutheran and O.J. Turner, he's just the second year of the varsity team for O.J. Great staff, some talent there. Man, that has a makings of a really cool game. It's the home opener for Saxony Lutheran. They played their first ever varsity home game at Houck Field last year. Their varsity field wasn't quite ready at Saxony, but now they get this one in front of their home fans in Jackson or at Saxony Lutheran. So it's going to be a pretty cool game, and that's one of the more fascinating matchups in week one. Another one that's right there with it, Edwardsville, Illinois at Jackson. Boy, they gave Jackson a pretty good battle last year, 33-28. The Indians won it. Jackson gets them at home. This year, the Indians only lost once and deep into the playoffs all season. They finished 12-1. Edwardsville, certainly a talented team. You would think they're pretty good year in and year out, and they're going to roll into the pit. So that's going to be a game that we will definitely be keeping a close eye on, have some good highlights out of there. And also, Ryan Nesbitt for Jackson, his quarterback this year is Tyler Fisher. He's a junior, and I've heard a lot of comments and complimentary things said about this guy, whether I'm walking around in the newsroom here and talking to Luke, remember talking about Tyler Fisher, or you go to the gym and somebody says, man, have you seen this Tyler Fisher? So he's somebody to watch. I got a decent look at him just through the film, some of the highlights that were sent in from the fine folks at Jackson from their jamboree at Festus. And I'm telling you, this guy can air out a football. He can throw it a mile. He's got the receivers to catch it. So, and then Jackson, of course, the outstanding offensive line. They've got D1 guys on that. They're just a very, very impressive team. And what sets them apart maybe more than anything else is they're not only impressive in that, but they're so well coached and they have such a great offseason program that they're just, I would be surprised if they don't have a heck of a season. Good schedule, too. So, but that should be a good one. Starting Friday, we'll get a pretty good idea at the pit. But I wouldn't want to be in Edwardsville's shoes right now. But we'll see how that one goes. And then Perryville at home, nice year last year, 7-4. Really good things they got going under Brent Roth. And then Fredericktown, also a lot of enthusiasm with Cody Tipton. We saw him at the Jamboree recently, and a lot of enthusiasm on that Fredericktown Black Cats team. They really look to build things up over there. So that's another game certainly worth keeping a close eye on to see how it turns out and to see how things move along. And finally, Poplar Bluff hosting Jefferson City. They love their football. Deep tradition in Poplar Bluff. Been at the Letter Club banquet. They've been kind enough to let me speak out there when they give all the awards out, the SEMO Conference Awards, and it's really a special place for football and how much they appreciate it and how kind the people are, how invested they are in the sport of football. And I'm talking about all the way from the former coaches to the officials that are still going at it, to the former players and all they love their football. They love the tradition in that area. So we'll see what they've got and how things go this year for the Mules as they get started against Jefferson City. And we'll keep an eye on that matchup as well. And then, of course, our good friends in Southern Illinois, we're kind of teaming up a lot more these days. It's pretty cool stuff. Jake and the gang out that way. We're looking into some really good matchups in Southern Illinois, beginning with a good rivalry game, Heron at West Frankfort. These are rivals, and man, when you get that going, you get good football. West Frankfort, an impressive opening win. Heron's always a tough team, it seems like, to beat. So this is, again, a fascinating matchup. How will it go? Well, the Redbirds, if they come along far enough to take care of Heron, Heron's had a lot of the upper hand in a lot of them, but we'll see how this one goes pretty soon. And, it goes on also Harrisburg at DuQuoin. I don't have to even talk to you about the DuQuoin fans, well aware of the tradition out that way of that football program. Harrisburg, they love their football as well. That's also a very good matchup. And then Johnston City coming off another sensational season. They're playing at CZR. Now, by the way, Christopher Ziegler-Royalton, they got a win in their first week, an impressive win. So that's another game that we'll be watching. Also, just keep an eye on Roxanna at Murfreesboro. Murfreesboro lost the opener at Carbondale, but always Coach Carter does a terrific job out there as well. So Friday night again, 10:15 on Heartland Football Friday. If you want to see some fast action, some great action, be sure to tune into that. We're going to have a big night coming up. So I mentioned I'll touch maybe now as I get ready to finish things up a bit on the in the NFL front, and I think Chiefs fans, I think should be getting good news with Patrick Mahomes. It's all been good so far, but some people are wondering, hey, is he going to play in that Monday night opener game, that September 14th game at Arrowhead Stadium against the Denver Broncos? And there hasn't been like the official word, but man, I would be shocked if he doesn't, wouldn't you? I think Patrick Mahomes is playing out there. I think Travis Kelce front and center. And how great was Kenneth Walker? They got from the Seattle Ball Club. Of course, the Seahawks coming off that Super Bowl. Then they grabbed their top running back in Kenneth Walker, the free agent. So he's going to be blazing out there, and the atmosphere at Arrowhead. Andy Reid gets everybody going with that offense. Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator, back over there, had some family things, and certainly prayers out to that family. That things will work out, but. I'm telling you that Arrowhead Stadium atmosphere, it is crazy, isn't it? Went to a game there. I guess it was last year, and they go crazy from start to finish. Fans are on their feet the entire way, and they have so much to cheer about the success. It's something special over there, and this should be pretty good. But certainly wish Patrick Mahomes, one of my favorite players as far as just the respect for the guy, coming off that tore ACL and LCL injury, but he really seems to be making progress. It was kind of a fun scene against Tampa Bay when Harrison Butker hit a 69-yard field goal in the exhibition game, and Mahomes was out there on the field going crazy, and that's how he is. He loves it. Those guys like him, he wants a bunch more Super Bowls. I know he's won some. I don't think he's nearly satisfied. That guy is going to work, and they may call it somewhat of a rebuild, somewhat, or a transition, but the Chiefs are looking to win the whole thing. I don't think there's any doubt. Whenever they're in a competition, they are not looking for second place. They're looking to get there, get in the playoffs, and try to win it all. And one thing I told somebody a long time ago, I said, I never bet against Patrick Mahomes. That guy is something special, to say the least. Also, let's take a look at a couple of our other NFL teams in the region out there, the Bears and Tampa Bay. Let me forget myself on the Tampa Bay. That was the matchup I was talking about, obviously, earlier. But talking about the Bears and Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, when you're talking about Ben Johnson, I had a front row seat to see that guy play or coach when he was with the Detroit Lions. Just did all kinds of amazing things with that offense. I mean, Detroit was a laughingstock in the NFL for ever, it seemed like. And Ben Johnson came in there, and along with the staff that they put together, and he did, as an offensive coordinator, just did an amazing job. I mean, the plays that he ran, the precision and everything for Dan Campbell, the head coach over there, that he had, and what they had working was a thing of beauty. And he's done the same thing with the Bears. They could have almost gone, who knows, maybe won the whole thing last year. Came so close, the Rams got him deep in the playoffs. But that's a guy as a coach, and I think Caleb Williams is outstanding. He, as their quarterback there, he makes all the runs when he has to. He can make all the throws, and it seems like he really wants it. I think some people have questioned how bad he loves the game of football. I think he loves the game of football, and I'd say watch out for the Bears. In the NFL, though, you never know year to year, right? Couple injuries here and there or something. Anything can happen, but they look like a team to certainly watch. A lot of Tennessee Titans fans around, and Robert Saleh comes over. Didn't have a lot of luck in his first stint with the Jets, and then he went back to San Francisco. Of course, a great defensive coordinator is what he's known as, but I think this guy has some things going for him, and he's got Cam Ward as his quarterback, so I would not count that team out for maybe making a little bit of noise. I think they got a little ways to go, but certainly I think that Titans team looks to be moving in the right direction. I think that coach is getting a second chance, and not a lot of guys get that second chance in the NFL. He is, and I'm sure he's planning on making the most of it. Well, I got to tell you, I've talked a little bit of everything. We've got all kinds of college, all kinds of high school, NFL, and I appreciate you being with me on the Toddcast tonight. I hope to be back with a really cool Toddcast looking at Thursday at 2 o'clock. I think you're going to enjoy it. I'll kind of keep it a little bit as a surprise, but I think I really hope you can tune in for that one. I'm going to have a special guest. I love having a guest out here, and I'm looking forward to you tuning in. But right now, time for me to say goodbye. Hope you have yourself a good day, and we'll see you on the next Toddcast.